Sounds great.
Or not.
Height, tee height, tee height, tee height. Questions that we get asked regularly. What tee height should we all be in and why? And that's what we're going to be covering in this live video. James Ruth in the house. He has got driver in hand. He's got his glove on. You've got to remember, James is one of our longest players on the channel, so carries up to 300 yards. Can you get out there? But does tee height really make a difference, James?
Huge difference.
Does it?
Yeah. The higher you can tee it, as long as you can game it and strike out the centre, the better you're going to be.
Okay.
You know, I've given some seniors coaching this week, and the whole thing was about hitting it further. And you know, I had a couple of guys teeing it like that, launching it at 8 degrees with 132 ball speed, and the carry was 145 yards. Once he got that tee up, the tilt backwards, you know, he was carrying up to 190 with the same ball speed. He wasn't hitting any harder.
50 yards.
Yeah. So, you know, just in terms of launch, tee, you know, you don't want to be teeing it up too high if you're hitting down on it, because then you're going to sky it. But the higher you can tee it and catch it out of the middle, the further you are going to hit that golf ball. Okay,
so we're going to be looking, obviously, as I said, we're going to be looking at the different tee heights. We've got a number of different tee heights. We have to use, because we're off a mat in here, these castle tees kind of work quite well. But we've got the white tee. Now this one has stayed the course over the years, hasn't it? This height, because if we go back to our days of starting out the game, persimmon woods, low. You know, we were always teeing it low, smaller heads. You would have seen more blue tees or white tees as the castle kind of avenue.
Yellow,
so, which is what's that? Inch?
Yeah, 2 inches maybe.
Yeah. Okay, and then we move into the pink tee, which again is just a fraction bigger than what we're getting out of that white tee, and then we go to the big one, which is the castle tee.
Yeah.
But even, you know, there's even tees out there that I know that wouldn't go all the way into the ground, but there's even tees out there that you can get it launching even higher again.
Yeah.
Are you somebody that uses castles, or are you somebody that gauges it through a wooden tee?
Gauge it through wooden tee, and I definitely tee it higher if I want to try and get more distance. I'll tee it up as high as I can. You know, you look at what Bryson's doing. He's probably the longest guy on you know, the golfing world at the minute. He's using a 6 degree driver, which would normally launch it low, but he's teeing it up, you know, that high and hitting up on it to gain as much distance as he possibly can. So
what we're going to do, we're going to hit some shots with the different heights, okay? I'm going to sort of talk through some of the numbers. We're going to sort of look at where we're kind of striking it on the club face and how that can affect what's happening, but also what a tee height can look like and feel like, and how it makes you react as a golfer.
Yeah, what your body does differently.
First one, I mean, we're going to go first one, which is the white tee height. So this is kind of our shortest of the lot, isn't it? So this is still high enough that it's not 3-wood, is it? I mean, I wouldn't be pinging a 3-wood off of that position.
I would say that would be my tee height for a sort of a gaming sort of drive, one that's a quite tight fairway where I'm not looking to hit my sort of full distance, just my stock shot.
So that makes you kind of, by changing your tee height, makes you kind of think about different types of flights.
Yeah, when I'm trying to hit a fairway and hit one under control, I'm definitely teeing it lower.
Okay, right, well, let's have a little look at why that's the case. So if you peg that one up to get us going then, James. Average carry, what are you at? 260, what would it be, 270, 280?
Yeah, average carry, you know, when I'm swinging it flat out, I can get it over 300, but I'd say maybe 280, 285 for a standard, and then probably 265, 270 for my low tee gamer.
Brilliant, okay, let's go with this then. We're going to have a little look at the numbers of what you get from this. Okay, that's a great shot. Arrow ball, James.
Yeah, that would be one I would be really happy with on the course. That's one I use quite a lot, keeping the ball in play.
Okay, let's go one more. 276 yards that carried. As you can see from the ball flight, it didn't really move a great deal. Your swing path normally, James, around even, maybe a little bit from out to in?
Fairly neutral. Generally tend to hit a fade on the course. I'm not really thinking about that in here. I'm just thinking about just hitting a normal kind of golf shot.
Let's go again then. Let's have a little look. The reason I'm asking James to hit this again is because it's not picked up the numbers that we want to get from the face. So I want to look at some numbers there with the face positions. Okay, good again.
A bit out of the heel.
Okay, a little heely.
A little close to the heel, yeah.
Not picking that one up as well. So swing path though, and what we'll showcase from this one is actually your swing path is around neutral most of the time. On this situation here, you've got it swinging at around 1 degree into out, which is kind of about right.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're a little bit out to in. I'm just going to move you now into the pink tee, but I just want people to notice the kind of angle of attack here. Angle of attack 3 degrees up on the ball with both those last 2 shots that you hit, which were both really good shots. We're now going to go with the pink tee, and I just want you to just sort of tell me what you think now that you've gone from a slightly lower tee into now a slightly higher tee. What does it make you think about when you're setting up to the ball?
Makes me feel like I can just tilt behind it a little bit more, so I can launch it a little bit higher, maybe swing it a little bit harder.
So with the lower tee, you felt like you were more over the ball?
Yeah, I feel like I've got to get on top of it more. I feel like if I try and get sort of back behind it, I could catch the floor. Just because it's that little bit lower, I might catch it out the bottom of the club. Correct. So I'm trying to get that sort of weight a little bit more kind of on top of it. Whereas when I see that tee rising up a little bit, I feel like I can get kind of almost up on it a little bit more and get a little bit more out of it.
Okay, let's go then. Let's hit one. So remember, angle of attack was around 3 degrees up. Path around 1 degree into out. Carry 273. It's a good hit, James. Really good hit. 287 carry. Here we go. So 287 yards in your carry. So you've actually picked up, I know you've tugged it a little bit left, but you've actually picked up around 10 to 15, 12 yards.
Yeah.
Around that sort of number from what you were getting before.
Clubhead speed's gone up.
Clubhead speed's gone up, and why would you say that? Why do you think that clubhead speed would want to sort of pick up a little bit as you go through this?
Because you're hitting up on it, I feel like I can be a little bit more aggressive,
driving through
rather than hitting down. You're not going to get as much clubhead speed going down as you are being able to push up from the ground.
Right. Okay. I'm going to get you to hit one more with that position.
Yep.
Swing path that time moved from around 1 degree into out to now pretty much neutral, James. Now, would you say that by having the tee slightly higher, do you manipulate ball position at all?
Yeah, slightly more forward.
Okay,
and
so that's
then I
common,
feel like I
isn't
can
it?
turn a little bit more. Yeah.
So by having that tee just a little bit more height, you feel like you can lean a little bit more this way.
Yeah.
And ball position goes a little bit further forward. Now you've got to think, what you've got to think about when that happens is as you start to swing on that sort of arc, as you come into impact, that path maybe moving what you felt was maybe a little bit more into out, which is almost like uncommon for you to be more into out.
Yeah.
By having that tee height a little bit lower, you might have put the ball position a fraction further back in your stance.
Correct, because you feel like you're on top of it a bit more and it's a much safer shot.
So the path moves maybe just a fraction more into out.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Whereas when the tee position goes further forward, the path now starts to just sort of bottom out here and then start to work up and round to the left, which the path then is going to start to maybe just move a fraction. I mean, we're talking 1 or 2 degrees here, aren't we?
Correct,
but
yeah.
Might start to see it moving a little bit more out to in or neutral.
Yeah,
definitely come through. Hit another one then. So this is, remember, pink tee. Sorry, I've got you not in the zone. Let's get you in there. Pink tee height. Getting the sense there. Just feeling like he wants to tilt his right shoulder just down a fraction there, allowing him to be able to launch that ball up off that tee peg. Good hit again, James. Turning over on your fraction. 292 that time, James.
Yep.
Okay, remember 6 degrees. You went from 3.5 degrees on the way up to now 6 degrees. On this particular shot, almost identical. You just got a little bit more yardage out of it.
Yep.
If we look at your angle of attack, 6.4 degrees on the up.
Yep.
Path, 0.
Yep.
0.0. So getting really good numbers there. So as you're hitting it, delivering it up, your delivery aloft is around 17 with that driver. Your launch angle's around 13, which is good. But then your spin kind of come down a fraction, probably because you got it a little bit in the toe area.
Correct, yeah.
So strike location 3 millimeters high, a little bit in the toe. Spin, you're going to start to see that spin just drop off
Down
a fraction.
1.7, yeah.
I just want to see what happens when you go a little higher again. So we're going to go now into the orange tee. Again, are you going to get the sense of, or are you kind of maxed out there, or are you going to get the sense of feeling as though you can hit more up on it again and lean back on it and all of these sorts of things?
I think it's a mentality change more than anything. You know, when I see the tee that high, I really feel like I can swing harder for some reason. And like I say, I won't game this drive all the time because it's not maybe under control as other ones. But when I see the tee that high, I feel like I can swing as hard as I want and hit up on it and get as much distance as I possibly can.
Okay, well let's see one go then. So we're going to go. You're going to get the sense of pushing that ball position slightly further forward again.
Correct.
And you're talking what? Half an inch to an inch further forward?
Yeah, I feel like it's more towards my sort of left big toe as opposed to my left heel. Yeah.
Okay, great. And the sense of the right shoulder, is that dropping a fraction
definitely
further?
dropping down.
Because the tee's up, you've got to get it launching up quicker.
Definitely.
Okay, go for it then. Bombed it. 295 in your carry. Okay. 117 mile an hour in your clubhead speed.
Yep.
So that's also interesting how your clubhead speed is what just slightly starts to pick up a little bit. You get the sense that you've got a little bit more in you if you want it.
Yeah,
because it's in
I would say I can get up to 120.
If you want
course swing, I would say 113.
Yeah.
And that's probably the biggest thing for people to realise is, you're not necessarily going to be on the course as fast as you are on the range. On the range, I could probably get up to 117, 120 between that. But on the golf course, you're not swinging much more than 85, 90%. You're probably at around 112, 113, something like that. It's much more sort of gameable.
Just want to showcase, not a lot of movement in that. Very neutral ball flight. Just been over to the Challenge Tour, watching the Challenge Tour finals out in Mallorca. Absolutely fantastic. Didn't see much movement on the golf ball.
No.
And I think some of the comments that I was hearing from lots of players when I was kind of asking questions and things like that is that with the modern tech, you don't see a lot of movement in the golf ball.
You're not looking for, no.
They're looking for pretty neutral ball flights, aren't they, out there?
Missed strikes will be one of the main reasons you see much curvature. I'll only see the ball generally go left if it's out of the toe of the club, as we saw in the previous shot.
Or move too far right if you catch it in the
heel. A little bit out the heel.
So the only reason a ball's moving for you is what you call gear effect. Yeah. Won't go into gear effect in this video, but obviously there's loads of videos out that can tell you a little bit about gear effect. But just to give you, again, a little bit of an indicator, so your launch is up again, 13.8, so only a fraction. Your angle of attack, remember you went from 3.5 degrees with the white tee, you went to 6.5 degrees in the pink tee, and you've gone again, 7.3 degrees on the up. So again, just that tee height, ball position being slightly further forward, again, enabling you to be able to hit that. But path, James, 0.0, exactly the same as what you got out of the last one. It's interesting how, face to path. Face to path is actually 0.0. Path was actually 0.8 left this time. So you're moving. You've gone from in to out, ball position back a little bit, to then neutral, to then now you're starting to bring it more on the inside. I mean, we're talking 1 degree.
Yeah, but it makes such a big difference to potential ball flight or connection with the face. Absolutely.
Spin that time at 2,400 revs because you got it a little lower in the face. Wasn't quite as much in the toe, so only 7 millimeters in the toe. And we're talking millimeters. Can make such a difference in the ball.
Absolutely.
How the ball reacts. Remember, when we're hitting, we're using Pro V1Xs. I don't know what you use as a normal
Pro
ball.
V1X.
Okay, so that's what we're using for this. Okay, go again then. So
I'm going to tilt myself a little bit more back on this one.
So you think you've still got more in you?
I can still go up. I reckon get to 9 up.
Okay, so this is just that sense of you trying to get it going a little bit further.
Yeah, a little bit higher. Playing in Sun City, where the air's thin.
That's interesting. So in South Africa, you try and get it up in the air a little bit more?
Yeah, ball goes so much further because the air's thinner. You're at altitude, probably 2,000 feet. The higher you get it, the further that ball goes.
Right. Did you get it?
Felt pretty good, but clubhead speed's down a little bit.
So it's not picked up because it's probably, we're going to get you hit one more there, James, because I think you, sometimes if it doesn't, sometimes if the quad doesn't pick up the dots quite on the face, then we're not going to get the reading as well. So go again. 8.5 up on that one you were. How was that?
A little bit more towards the toe.
Okay.
Club head speed up to 121.
Okay, we're going to do one more, just because I want to get those face numbers. Sometimes at this speed, sorry?
Further back in the quadrant you put it.
Yeah, going to get it. Yeah, you're right. Further back here. Happy back here, Jord?
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. So the more you get it out of into the reading zone, it gives the cameras more time to pick up, because you're swinging it at such speeds. When I swing it, James, it always picks up. 9-degree angle of attack that time, James.
Perfect.
Oh, okay. Let's please tap. Yes, right. So the reason I'm excited is because the club face has been picked up that time. You all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have my back a little bit.
Things you have to do for this channel. So some very good numbers out of that one. Just again, you're not. The idea here is not to necessarily start talking to players and start saying you need to swing it like James is swinging it at full tilt like he's doing here. This is more an example of what you can do with the right tee height. But if we just look at that, so you've got that club head speed up at 119. You said you had more in you, and you know you've got more in you from that. That time you launched it, James, and it's interesting because you were trying to hit it higher. Your strike location went slightly higher off the face.
It felt a bit high on the face, yeah.
You could hear it as you hit it, which actually what that did is it pushed your launch angle up a fraction.
With low spin.
With a spin of around 1800 revs, so that ball, and it's spinning at 1800 revs. I'm not saying that people want to be spinning at 1800 revs, but if you're hitting it as hard as what James is hitting it, you can get some serious yardage out of it if you do that. Your angle of attack in the last 3 swings, you were 3 degrees up, 6 degrees up with different tee heights. Now the biggest tee height at 8.4, I did see the previous one at 9.
Yeah.
So you're gauging between sort of 8 and 9 degree on the way up. Your carry that time was 310.
Yeah.
So you've got more out of you hitting up on the golf ball, so much more, getting that strike location a little higher, a little more in the toe, just getting out there a little bit more. So just to kind of, and those are obviously highlights of what James does when he's playing with these different tee heights. But one of the things that obviously there's lots of players out there, and you talk about your average golfer, should we say, where they don't maximize their driver because a lot of the time they sort of get on top of it, hit down into the shot. And you can see there that if James can get hitting up on it a lot more, he can get that angle of attack right, and he can get it out there a little bit more, generate maybe a little bit more force into the shot. But we see this all the time, don't we, with players, who chop down on top of their driver. A good indicator is, do you sky it? Do you go underneath the ball if you try and tee it too high?
Do you take a divot?
Do you take a divot? Do you catch the ground? All these sorts of things as you're coming into impact. So what can we do? What can we share with people other than just with tee height? What can we get them to do? Obviously, by teeing it up, we've got to change the body positions, haven't we?
Yeah. So I use a medicine ball, or I've got a ball that I use for coaching. So, if we pick a target up on the wall, say up there, I get people to get into their driver setup and then try and throw the ball. And the idea is that they're launching up and forwards.
Yeah.
So once you launch up and forwards, all your weight's moving up and forwards that way. So if we're on a normal sort of low tee height, generally what you'll see is amateurs are in their kind of iron position because the tee's low. They're kind of leaning a tiny bit on their left side. And like you say, that encourages that kind of downward strike. Once we've pegged that ball up, you can get the sense of tilting, sitting back behind it. I've not got loads of weight in this leg. I'm just changing my sort of pelvis, hips to lean. And then again, if I've got that feeling of that ball, throwing it up against the wall, that kind of movement is that way. It's up and it's forwards all the time. So in the gym, you could get a medicine ball and you can throw maybe between 2 and 5 kilograms, depending on your sort of strength, but you kind of throw it against the wall, really push off and try and catch it. And therefore you're trying to get riding up the back of that ball to increase your distance. And off a higher tee, once you start to push up and forwards, you're less likely to get that sky from hitting down on it.
Yeah, and James is absolutely spot on there. Setup is really important. Getting yourself into a good ready position with your driver is making sure that, like James said, it's not a case of like, let's lean back and do this, but it's a sense of getting the feel, like the bumping of the hips, a little bit of a tilt in that position there, and then bring yourself into the ball. And trying to maintain that position as you come through is important, not getting the sense of almost like leaning into it.
Or leaning back.
Or leaning back, trying to hit it from there. So there's obviously a few different things there. Jordan, have we got any questions that have come in from people? I'm sure this is quite a common thing that lots of people get a bit confused as to what tee they should hit. Obviously, the idea of this is to showcase what you can achieve with a good, the right tee height. So what have we got there, Jordan?
Would increased tee height increase spin?
Would increased tee height increase spin? Well, it's so subject to your striking performance. So what's going to happen here is
My spin's gone down as a rule.
So what's going to happen is if you're someone that tees it high, if you tee it low in the club face and you hit it low in the face, the ball spin is going to start to increase. Yeah. Okay, like, take all the other areas out of it with regards to spin loft and things like that, which we could come into, but if you strike it lower down the face, the more you go from low to high, the spin's going to start to drop down. Yep. So as you go further up the face, the spin starts to reduce. Similarly, if you start hitting in the heels and toes, you're going to start to get different positions as well.
So the higher I tee that ball, generally the higher I'm going to hit it
on that face.
Therefore, the spin's going to come down, the launch is going to be higher, and it will go further. Spin rate will only increase within reason if you're catching it more out the
unless you fall off the shot, generally falling backwards,
and then it could come out the lower part of the club.
So does it affect that? Well, that's from a strike performance point of view. The club is designed to spin a bit more down the bottom and spin a little bit less at the top. So by teeing it higher, you should hit it higher in the face and therefore reduce your spin. But that's not always the case. Because of strike, like as in where you set up and how you hit it.
There's other technical elements. Yeah.
There's loads of other technical elements into it. But it's also what a tee height can do to the way your body performs. So if a tee height is low, you might sort of feel like you chop down on it a little bit more to get to the bottom of the ball. Yeah. What you'll see there is that your spin loft is going to start to change. So as you start to increase down on the ball, your loft, the delivery of, so this is your kind of angle of attack this way, and then your loft that you deliver, as that increases, you're going to start to increase the spin numbers. What James is trying to do is he's trying to hit up on it. So his angle of attack is kind of going up this way, and then he's trying to bring his loft to kind of marry up in here. And as the more he can do this, again, take strike out of the equation. Let's say everything's neutral, face is square, path is square, everything's neutral, he's hitting out of the middle of or his center point of the club. As that decreases, his spin loft decreases, therefore his spin numbers are going to drop. If this starts to increase, so if he adds too much loft into it with his driver, that will start to increase the spin loft and therefore increase your spin.
Correct. Yeah.
So these are things that there's so many different areas, but ultimately, I think by teeing it up a little bit and getting your technique to go well with it is going to help improve.
If you've got a driving range with top tracer or Trackman technology, I've been coaching a few guys this week with not particularly high ball speeds. If you can get that launch angle up somewhere in the range of 15, 16, you'll see a dramatic difference in your carry if you're somebody between, say, 8 and 11 degrees of launch. So that's something you can look at if you're going down the driving range, hitting some drivers. If your launch is between 8 and 10 degrees, something like that, just by, say, tilting back, higher tee, just see what your carry numbers go to if you can get that launch up to 15, 16, 14 with a good strike.
Yeah. And like we always say from these videos, whichever video we're doing when it comes to certainly coachings or fittings, is ultimately, yes, these are just guidance points for you guys to be able to take away and have a little work on, but ultimately working with your pro. Work with someone, because as you start to change, and this is why these drivers, these modern drivers with the interchangeable heads and things like that, this is why they're so good, is the fact that as you change your swing or as you change your deliveries, that driver might need to change with you. Yeah. And that's why it's important that when you're getting, having some guidance, you go through this process with somebody that can help you with both aspects, because the driver might need changing depending on what you're trying to deliver into that.
I had somebody in this week with a 909.
Okay, Titleist 909, yeah.
And he was spinning that an incredible amount. He's actually going for a fitting with Titleist next week, but You know, he's a really good golfer off, I think, 3 handicap, loads of speed, probably, you know, not far off my swing speed.
So not optimising
But
at all.
he was spinning it so high. So he's going to see a huge difference just in that little change of equipment, rather than him trying to change his swing to try and get those spin numbers or the loft down, just by changing the equipment in his hands.
So you're saying that actually his deliveries were actually okay, but it's just that because of his deliveries, the driver wasn't fitted into that.
Just completely wrong fitting for him.
Yeah, I get that. Okay. Well, there's nothing else in here other than Daniel Rush saying, well done, Ruthie, on the PGA.
Oh,
and I'm assuming that's to do with the PGA Cup, but also winning the English PGA Championship this year and the West Region PGA Championship or Order of Merit as well.
Yeah, it's been a good year. So.
It's been a great year.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Right. And we're very happy to have you on the channel, James. So thank you very much for taking the time to come up. Don't forget, if you are new to the channel and you like what you're seeing from these videos, hit that subscribe button. We'd like to hear down in the comments as well. Are you somebody that has gone through a process like this that we've done with James? Are you somebody that maybe tees it up and this has helped you? We'd like to hear down in the comments. And obviously, like I said, big thanks to James, and we'll see everybody again very soon.